Good evening, my middle school families. My name is Dr. Orletta Wynn. I'm the Senior Director of Special Education. New to San Diego, it's my third month, but I am loving it already. And I'm so glad you guys are all here. Before we go into all of this, I need all my parents to just take a deep breath. This is scary, right? We did it in kindergarten, okay? They thrived. We did it in 6th grade to 7th grade. They thrived. We're doing it now, middle school to high school. They will thrive. And we're going to do it again when they're in seniors, right? And for our students with more severe disabilities, we're going to do it again when they're 22. And they will thrive, you guys. So everybody just take a deep breath. My online friends, as well as those folks who are in front of me, we'll do it again. And they will thrive. I'm so happy you guys are here today. We have a very jam-packed presentation. All of our program supervisors are here to go through this presentation with you. And you'll have copies of a lot of this, and we'll point you to some resources at the end. So if you don't get everything, written down, please don't fret. Okay, I don't want you to be furiously writing things down because we have the resources for you to refer back to. I just want you to absorb, breathe, have some wonderings, have some questions for us, and we'll answer them. All right. So to that end, I'm going to introduce our wonderful special education coordinator, Dr. Kelly Mall.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're so excited to have you. This is the first time that we've actually done a middle to high school transition presentation for special education. So we're really excited that we've had such a great turnout both online and in person. So thank you for being here. Just a quick note, we are going to allow a time for questions at the end. So if you have any questions, please make sure that you jot them down so that we can answer them at the end for you. As well as in our for our online friends, if you are using Zoom, you can use the question and answer feature. And what we're going to do is take the most common questions that are asked and provide answers to them at the end. Next slide, please. This is just a brief agenda for today. We are here till 6:25. We're going to stop at 6:25 so that we have some time to answer your questions. We're going to go through introductions. We're going to go through our continuum of services. We also have some people here to talk to you tonight about our pathways, graduation requirements. We have several different pathways in the district. High school selections and schedules and courses. That's always first on people's minds, right? When we're going through this transition process is what high school is my student going to go to? What is their course going to look like? What is their schedule going to look like? We're also going to give you some information about campus tours so that you have all of the information that you need in order to access those as well. And then we'll close with questions. Next slide. You'll be getting a copy of this presentation, but just so we know who's in the room with us tonight, we have 5 of our high schools that our students transition to within the district. And we have representatives from each one of them here tonight. From Torrey Pines, we have Nicole Edgett. From LCC, we have Kelly Masick. From CCA, we have Sarah Skilma. From SDA, we have Andrew, my technology guy in the back there. And then Cloud Faraj, she's new to us this week, and she is supporting Sunset and our Coast program. This is a handout that we have in the back for you. Please pick one up. If there's not enough, we will have them linked in this slideshow as well. But this is just a really handy cheat sheet on who to contact once you get into high school. It has all of your site admin liaison names on there. Each of our sites has an assistant principal who oversees special education that has their contact information, as well as the corresponding program supervisor there as well. All right, Sarah's going to talk to you about the continuum of services.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk to you about some of our continuums that we have. The first couple slides that I'm going to talk with you about are what we have available across all of our sites in the district, the high school. So we have our general education classes, and you know that, you're familiar with that. General education content area curriculum taught by our general education teacher. Examples of that is a math class taught by a credentialed math teacher or an English class taught by an English credentialed teacher. The next one we have is our general education co-taught classes. So you're probably also familiar with some of that. General education teacher teaches the content, and then it's a partner system where they have an education specialist in the room also working on that content and the curriculum. Both of those environments, general education and the co-taught gen ed, we focus on the accommodations that are in your students' IEPs. Next slide, please. And then we get to a little bit more specific. This is available again at all of the sites. Targeted academic instruction. It's an elective credit course that's taught by an education specialist. So that is in a room with other students who have active IEPs. In that class, we have examples of TAI, that's what we call it, TAI. We have that in English, math, and executive functioning. And really the focus is on reading and writing interventions for our English, for our math, working on what they're doing in gen ed and helping to support that. And then for their executive functioning, working on organizational and study skills goals. The last part that I'm going to talk to you about is our Learning Academy supports, available at all of the sites. This is really an access or a home base for your student. It's not a place, it's not a service that they spend their day in. It's really created for the intention of if they need a place to de-escalate, regulate their emotions, they can go to a safe space on that campus. It's already a designated space that they can go to and just kind of re-regulate, take a little bit of a time out and then go back to their classroom. Okay, so then now Kelly Zitko is going to talk about it a little bit more specific.
Hi, I'm another Kelly. I was at the high school as of last week. I'm now at the 2 middle schools and over NPSs. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our specialized programs that you can find at the high schools. The Seaside program in particular focuses on the social, emotional, therapeutic, and behavioral needs of students. These students typically are already in our middle school Seaside program when they transition over. This would be an IEP team decision to be in this program as they move forward. It's very highly individualized and supportive program. We have embedded mental health supports throughout their school day. And that tends to be the main focus. And then of course, once we have a student that's able to regulate themselves and attend appropriately, we can really focus on those academics. Supporting through students, we also do it through a hybrid model. So they could be in the Seaside program, taking their classes within that classroom with those teachers. However, we also have supports out in the general education class. Just depends on the individualized need of that student. That would be discussed at that student's IEP, okay, and what those services may look like. Can you go back one more? The modified program is for our students that are, the curriculum is modified. The content is fundamentally altered to lower that standard of expectation of those courses. However, we're trying to mirror those courses that are required for high school, if that makes sense. The curriculum is modified to focus on the building of those essential academic skills that those students do require. Okay. Within the program, at every high school, we have access to courses that could be considered access courses. This is available at every single high school. So let's say a student is needing that curriculum altered in a significant way and modified, we would actually create an access plan. This would be done through your IEP team. And as they're doing that, it's really, they are included into that general education class. They're on that roster, but they are receiving an alternate grade within an own grading system within that classroom. They are targeting those IEP goals that are written in their IEP. However, it's not direct instruction to those IEP goals, if that makes sense. And I'm sure many of you have heard about these access plans and have had those discussions in your meetings if your student's already embedded in there. All students also have related services that will carry over and with them. That would include your OT, your speech, APE services. Any of those would all be provided at any high school that they attend. Okay. And I don't know, Cloud?
Hello, I am Cloud. So I'm going to talk about the changes to the IEP. Once your student becomes a high schooler, you will notice that there are 2 new pages that are reviewed and discussed in the IEP meeting. So an ITP, that's the name of those 2 pages, the individual transition plan, focuses on post-secondary goals. So once they leave high school, what are the goals for those students? And so it focuses on 3 different categories. The first is education and training, the second is employment, and the third is independent living. And so the ITP is driven by these 3 areas. And then on the second page is going to be the course of study, whether they're diploma bound or certificate of completion, and details on that. And then it'll also indicate conservatorship. If the student is conserved, that's essentially it for that page. If the student is not conserved, then by the time they turn 17, we would inform them of the age of majority, which means they become more involved in their IEP process at the age of 18. If they're conserved, the parent will continue to provide that guidance. And so essentially, once the student transitions into high school, most of the services are going to be equivalent services and will be fulfilled at the high school. Department chairs will meet to relay that information. And then students will be able to identify, and you guys would be able to identify who the case manager is through ARIES. Sometimes service minutes will look different just because of the changes to their schedule. If they're going to a different setup of the day, right? Their class schedule might be a little different, and so the minutes might be a little different, but the services would continue as is for the most part. Yep, and then we're going to be moving on to pathways.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Hello, I'm Melissa Sage. I am the Director of Student Services, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about different pathways. So Cloud just spoke to on that ITP page there, where it said the student's pathway, a diploma, a certificate, post-secondary. So this is a little bit more information about that. So the general education, general SDUHSD graduation requirements are 230 credits. And you are going to hear about these 230 credits many, many times. So please don't feel like you have to get all the details right now. But essentially, it's 4 English, 3 math, 3 social science, 2 science, 2 physical education classes, a visual or performing art, a practical art, and then 70 elective credits. Those 70 elective credits can be anything that your student takes that's in addition to the ones that I already listed out. And that includes the classes like a TAI class or an access class that Dr. Mall spoke about. So students over the 4 years have a plan to meet all of these requirements. If they miss a course, they can repeat a course, they can make up a course to get to the 230 credits. And that's how you earn an SDUHSD diploma. All students, including students who are served by IEPs, are Gen Ed students first and are our students, and we will be tracking them with counselors and case managers and everybody working together toward progress. It won't be like a surprise, how are we doing to get to the diploma? Okay, so that is the local graduation requirement. The link at the top there takes you to the page where you see more information about this. In the physical education class is where in 9th grade, students also learn the health content. That includes things like first aid, taking care of yourself, all types of health content. Next slide. The district graduation requirements are very close to the requirements for 4-year college, and we align our requirements with the California State University and the University of California because we're in California. The big difference is that you may have noticed in the high school graduation requirements, you are not required to take a world language or a language other than English like ASL. But for most 4-year universities, you will want to take 2 years of the same language other than English. And when students do that, it counts in that elective section that I was talking about towards graduation. So they get to count for both. Otherwise, it's the same: 4 English, 3 math, 2 science, 3 social science, etc. And again, that's tracked as students progress year over year. So you don't have to know all of that in 9th grade. You're just doing 9th grade to start. There are some links there if you want to follow them to the course of study and courses that are offered that fulfill these requirements. And then on the next slide, what you'll see is, so that was the 230 credits, but there are alternative pathways. And there are exemptions and ways that, as an example, if a student was unable to take 20 credits of physical education, we may be looking at an exemption temporarily from physical education would be one example. An alternate pathway that you're speaking to the alternate. Okay, sorry. I won't go on to the next slide then. I will leave it there. Thank you.
You're welcome to if you want to, but all right. So lots of information so far. We're going to have plenty of time for questions at the end. This is another pathway within our district, within the state of California. How many of you have heard of the California Alternate Pathway? Okay, perfect. So we have something in California, which is specifically for students who are eligible to take our California Alternate Assessment. So these are our students that have the most significant disabilities. It prevents them from accessing a traditional course of study to a great extent. We have some eligibility criteria that we go through, but by and large, these students are greatly impacted by their disability. The state of California has created a pathway for them so that they can achieve a diploma, and we do offer that within our district as well. That's something an IEP team would discuss. You'd go through the eligibility criteria for the California Alternate Assessment. But again, that's something that you start discussing with that ITP, with that individual transition plan as well. Next slide. For our students that do not qualify, again, it's a very small portion of our students that qualify for the California Alternate. For those that don't qualify for the California Alternate, but might not be able to complete a diploma pathway, we have our Certificate of Completion pathway. These are our students who will eventually transition to our adult transition program, COAST. You can see, and I won't read through it all, but you can see that it's exactly aligned with our state diploma requirements. So our students are still required to take 4 classes of English, 3 classes of history, social science, 2 PE, all of their electives. And you'll see this if you have a student who is on a certificate of completion pathway, you'll see this on their transcripts. You'll see foundational English, foundational math. You'll see all of that listed out just like you would on a traditional transcript so that we can really clearly lay out exactly what that student has completed, because it becomes important when we go to COAST in our adult transition program, understanding what course of study a student has completed. And also a lot of our students that go on to COAST access our community colleges as well. Masick? So many Kellys, we have to go by last names here. Masick, Mall.
All right. Okay, so go ahead. Thank you. Your child's high school of residence is either La Costa Canyon or Torrey Pines. We do have the academies. There's a different process if you want your child to transfer to one of the academies, but your high school of residence is one of those two. Both La Costa Canyon and Torrey Pines work off of the semester model, and your student's going to take classes that are going to go, so their English is going to go the whole year, whereas at the academy, at the academy, they're going to do the full year in the semester. So they'll do maybe English in the fall and then take a different class in the spring. At La Costa Canyon and Torrey Pines, they're taking English throughout the whole year, the math throughout the whole year. They have the same teachers. They can take targeted academic instruction classes at both the all 4 of the schools. We're going to forget about academy or not academy. The TAI classes are available. They do align with what they're working on in the class. The difference at the academy is if they're taking a TAI class for English, they're only going to have that TAI class during the portion of the year that they're taking their English class. At Torrey Pines or at La Costa, they're going to take it all year because they're taking English all year long. They're going to be taking 7 classes at either Torrey Pines or La Costa Canyon, and there's 8 classes at the academy, broken up 4 per, and I don't want to say semester because it's not a semester, in term. Thank you. There are opportunities if they need to make up a class, but it's a little bit different. Obviously, if we're doing the semester classes, they'll have to make something up perhaps during summer school, or perhaps take something like the following year. instead of one of their electives. Okay, and this is just a sample of what their schedule might look like if they're at either Torrey Pines or La Costa Canyon. As you can see, it's the full year of the English, the math. They're going to take a science. They're going to take PE. They're going to have some kind of an elective, maybe a targeted academic instruction class. They're also going to have opportunity to take additional electives. That's the big difference between the middle school and the high school is in the middle school, they're giving up the other elective for the targeted academic instruction class. When they get to high school, they have that opportunity to take both their targeted academic instruction class plus an additional elective. And then this is just a sample of what a schedule might look like for CCA and SCA. So again, you can see they're taking 4 classes the first term, and then they're taking 4 different classes the second term.
I actually did just want to clarify something just about the what we call 4x4 CCA and SDA. With the TAI classes, we do have students that take them all year long. That is an IEP team decision. If your student requires that intensive intervention of a TAI class when they are not scheduled for that corresponding core class, we do have students that do that. So I just wanted to clarify that. It's not all the time. Sometimes they don't need it, but just so you guys know that is an option that we discuss as well.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, next one. And then we have the career technical education. There are courses offered at all 4 of the schools. Each school offers something a little bit different. They're all aligned with the college requirements. Some of them they can even get college credit for. There's a video that we're going to play for you. All of our 8th grade kiddos are going to see this. The counselors are going to come into their classes and show it. And so we wanted to play it for you so you can see it as well.
Here at San Diego, we offer 17 unique pathways at each of our high schools based on the facilities, the teachers, and student interests. All of these pathways provide students with the knowledge and the soft skills they need to be successful in future careers.
CTE is such an important part of high school because it allows our kids to gain the skills that they need to continue on into the world with whatever path they choose. So even if they're going to college, learning how to cook in high school or learning how to repair a car or learning how to shoot video footage is really essential, more life skills to supplement all of the academic work that we do in high school.
It's not your traditional sitting in class, writing with pen and paper type classes. It's very hands-on, it's very unique, it's very special. My favorite thing we've done in this class is learn how to do an oil change. I know that that's something that you have to do consistently throughout your life. And so to be able to do that on my own car was extremely helpful because now I don't ever have to pay for one again.
CT is different from traditional vocational education because it's pathway based. So you've got multiple years that build on each other. It's almost like a major in high school, and it really increases the engagement for students in all of their subjects.
CTE classes offer what we call early college credit. So they're either part of an articulation agreement or dual enrollment agreement with the local community college. A lot of the college credit is transferable to Cal States and UCs and even outside of California. So for students who are either going directly to a 4-year college or to a 2-year college, it really shows a huge benefit for them because it's building their college transcript early and it's all completely free.
I chose to do a CTE class. I did one in middle school for film and study, and I wanted to continue doing CTE. They were so much fun. You had a lot of lab experience, working with a lot of equipment. And so I wanted to go into engineering field, into either mechanical or robotics or chemical. And so I found myself walking into labs like this and coming out and working both in the computer science CTE and in the engineering CTE.
You learn a lot of different skills, and no matter what kind of career path or interests you have, any CTE class would probably teach you critical thinking skills, and you can apply that to so many different things.
If you are artistic, you would love landscape design, you would love photography, you would love screen printing, you would love culinary arts. If you really are about working with your hands, there's metals, there's wood shop, there's automotive. All of them give students that opportunity for them to see and try on a possible career, a possible hobby, or just some skill that they'll be able to use for the rest of their life.
As part of a high performing, high value CTE pathway, one of the things we need in order to make the classes work is industry advisories. And so it's usually 1 to 2 companies within your field that come through and they actually vet the program. So they meet with the teachers and they basically decide, hey, what you're doing in the classroom is exactly what we need in the industry. Or they can say, hey, you know what, we're using a different technology now. Maybe you want to think about getting this software. So it's a really great way for the CTE programs to stay current with what industry needs.
It's really cool to be able to talk to like industry professionals to kind of talk about what it's like post grad and just getting a job, but also just what it's like artistically, creatively, and how your passions can kind of turn into work.
I think every CT pathway has something to offer anyone. I mean, I'm taking this, but at the same time, I'm also doing culinary. It's like you can find something that, you know, is made for you.
CTE is for everybody, whether it be you can take away a skill working with machines or just an artistic and creative skill. There's been artists through these classrooms, there's been engineers, there's been people who don't even work in the industry anymore, may even work in a research lab. It's whatever you take away working with a team, working in a workplace, or just taking in safety concerns. It's something that everybody can work in and experience.
I think CTE is critical to modern education. Our students are craving engagement in high school, and CTE adds meaning to what they do because there is a product at the end of it, whether it's digital in a digital class or an actual car that they fixed or a robot that they've built in the robotics. They have something that they can point to that they've completed. Having that sense of success is what's going to make them not just successful for, you know, the next 8 years, but for the next 80 years.
Okay, Nicole, are you next? Oh, back to Kelly.
Thank you. Okay, so that is something we, and Sarah O'Clushin and I call her my right-hand girl. We did a lot of work last year with our CTE pathway folks. We went to one of their professional developments and went over accommodations and how to support students with disabilities in the classroom. So that's something that I encourage everybody to check out, whether your students in a modified program or a Seaside program or mild mod. We want everybody to participate in those CTE pathways. I do want to take a minute here also to plug on that note. Every April, we host a inclusion college and career event at MiraCosta. That will be coming out. We'll be sending out information via Aries Communication. That will be in April, but it's one of the largest events in the region that for college and career, and it's inclusive. We have, last year, I think we had over 35 vendors specifically for students with disabilities who might be on alternative pathways. So just something to keep in the back of your mind for April. Coming up first is high school selection. So our high school selection window opens January 24th at 8 a.m. Can you go back one slide, please? And closes on February 13th at 4 p.m. What this means is if your student wants to go to another high school different than their home school, either LCC or Torrey Pines, if they would like to attend SDA, or CCA, or if they live in LCC boundaries and want to come down to Torrey Pines, get those transfers in. All of the information is on the website and we have it linked in the slides. Thank you. We included a boundary map just in case if you're not sure what your boundary school is. Please check out this map. Again, that window will close, and after that, there will be no more transfers allowed. So just a date to keep an eye on. Next slide. Again, a little more information here. If your student is in a modified program, just a note that those programs are only offered at La Costa Canyon High School and Torrey Pines High School currently. So depending on if your child is currently at Oak Crest in a modified program, they will go on to LCC, great program. If your child is at Carmel Valley in a modified program, they will go on to Torrey Pines, also a great program. February 24th is when you will be notified of your whether or not your high school selection was approved. Some other important dates to keep in mind, all of our high schools host information nights, welcome nights, and registration nights. So instead of you having to go search around everywhere throughout all of our websites, we put everything here in one little cheat sheet for you. If you're interested, even if you think your student might be interested in attending a different school, I encourage you to check them out. They all have a little bit of a different vibe, and sometimes it's important to take a walk around and see what they're like. Next slide. Miss Edgett.
I'm just here to take you in for a landing. Okay, so the funnest part about all of this is like demystifying the campuses. So every single one of the high schools has a campus tour, and that'll be coming up. So next slide. I can't see. Oh, LCC's is tomorrow at 3:45. Then Torrey's is the 15th and the 5th, but I would encourage you to click on that nifty little link there because it's a great tour done by our kids. Next slide. CCA is the 16th and the 6th. And then the last one is SDA, and they're going to ask that you RSVP there. Oh, I'm sorry, the 23rd at 3:45. Okay. The other invaluable resource that Sage is commandeers is our amazing counseling department. And at each one of our schools, they have great websites with tons of information about just kind of reiterating and giving you a little bit more information about all the things we talked around about diplomas tonight. Okay. I think we are, and then this is our very live. This isn't my slide, but I'll do it anyway. On the deck, there's a whole bunch of stuff if you click on that around workability, our continuum, who to contact, all sorts of things about special education. Okay, so I think now we're at Q&A. Yay.
I really do encourage you to, if you haven't checked out that Family Resources website, it's got so many different tips, tricks, resources. We track the data on it. We have people from South Korea and all these different places that access it for all of the resources. So I encourage you to look into that. It does have, oh, thanks. It does have a lot of that information there. From Social Security, what is an ITP, assistive technology, community resources, and that's all regularly updated and maintained. We also have a parent resources calendar that is updated on a regular basis with ongoing webinars that we host all internally, or we partner with places like Regional Center, Social Security Disability, lots of different partners in the community beacons. We do a lot of community resource work and presentations. So if you haven't seen those yet, I encourage you to do that as well. All right.